All right, today we are diving deep into what might be one of the shortest, but honestly, one of the most powerful chapters in the entire Quran. I'm talking about Surah Al-Kafirun, the disbelievers. We're talking just 6 verses here, but wow, these 6 verses pack an unbelievable punch. They are a definitive, uncompromising statement about faith, about disbelief, and really about that critical moment when you have to draw a line in the sand over your core beliefs.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to set the stage, get the historical context for when this was all happening. Then, we'll go verse by verse, really digging into the specific, sharp language being used. We'll tackle that question of repetition. Why say things twice? And finally, we'll pull it all together to unpack the massive theological ideas of separation and disavowal that make this chapter such a cornerstone.
Okay, first things first. Before we even touch the first verse, you've got to understand the atmosphere here. This chapter didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a direct response to a really tense, high-stakes situation on the ground.
And, just so we're all on the same page, everything we're digging into today is pulled straight from our source text. This is a deep, forensic analysis, not a summary. We're taking apart its arguments piece by piece to give you the full scholarly picture exactly as it's presented. So let's just take a look at the text itself. Here it is, the full 6 verses of Surah Al-Kafirun. It looks short, right? But believe me, every single word, every phrase is loaded with meaning. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. This whole chapter is a direct reaction to a very specific event. The leaders of Quraysh in Mecca came to the Prophet with a deal. Think of it like a religious business proposal. They said, look, you worship our gods for a year, and we'll worship your God for a year. It was an attempt to compromise, a kind of merger. And this surah, this is God's response. And let me tell you, it is an absolute no-holds-barred rejection of that entire idea.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with verses 1 through 3. This is where the foundation of the whole argument is laid out.
So right out of the gate, it starts with a command. Qul, say. And our source text makes a huge deal out of this one word. Why? Because it immediately establishes that what's coming next isn't the prophet's personal feeling or his opening offer in a negotiation. Nope. This is a divine order, a message he is commanded to deliver, word for word.
And check this out. This is our first deep dive into the language. The phrase la abudu, it means so much more than just I do not worship. It's not a temporary statement. The grammar here implies a continuous, permanent reality. It's a declaration for right now and for all time. It's basically saying, I don't worship what you worship, and I never ever will. It's an absolute, future-proof statement.
So you see the layers building up, right? The address, O disbelievers, is incredibly direct. There's no sugarcoating it. And our source is emphatic on this point. This isn't just about rejecting some stone idols. It's a total disavowal of their entire system, the things they worship, how they worship, and the very foundation of their beliefs. The whole shebang.
And then, boom, the surah pivots. It's like, okay, I've told you my position, now let's talk about your side of this deal. The verse makes it clear it's not just that I won't worship what you worship, it's that you can't worship what I worship. And this chart really drives home the point. There's this massive, unbridgeable gap. The source is arguing that the verse means more than just you don't currently worship Allah. It means that your entire approach to worship is fundamentally flawed. The Prophet's way is built on haqq, on absolute divine truth. Their way, it's built on batil, on falsehood, desire, and man-made traditions. The two systems are just completely incompatible. They're operating in different realities. Okay, so now we get to the part that trips a lot of people up, the repetition. Verses 4 and 5 look a lot like verses 2 and 3. So what's the deal? Is this just for emphasis? Is it redundant? Well, according to the analysis we're following, the answer is a resounding no. This is precision engineering, not simple repetition. Just look at the verses side by side. Nor will I be a worshiper of what you worship, nor will you be worshipers of what I worship. It sounds similar, I know, but our source text dives into the Arabic grammar, and it shows that these subtle shifts in wording are absolutely crucial. They're not repeating the point, they're fortifying it. Okay, get ready, because this is where the grammar gets really cool and honestly changes everything. The first time the statement is made, it's a verbal sentence. It's negating an action. I do not do this thing. But the second time, in verse 4, it uses a nominal sentence. This is huge. It's not just negating an action anymore, it's negating a state of being, an identity. Think of it like this. It's the difference between saying I don't eat meat and saying I am not a meat eater.
One is about an action, the other is about your fundamental nature. So the verse is saying, it is not in my very essence to be a worshiper of what you worship. See? It's not repetition, it's escalation. It's closing every door and locking it.
So everything we've seen so far, the direct command, the double-layered negations, the shift from action to identity, it's all been building to this, the final climactic verse, the mic drop, if you will. This is where the ultimate principle is laid down.
And here it is. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. That's it. The final word. It's the inevitable conclusion to everything that came before it. A complete and total separation. No overlap. No compromise, no middle ground. Just two separate, distinct paths.
Now this is a really important point our source makes. This verse is probably one of the most quoted and maybe most misunderstood in the whole Quran. People often see it as this sort of live and let live, pluralistic statement, like all paths are valid. But the source argues, how can that be? Look at the context. After 5 verses of absolute hardcore negation and rejection, this isn't a statement of acceptance, it's a statement of demarcation. It's saying, we are completely separate. Your way is for you, my way is for me, and the two shall never meet.
And this whole idea, this powerful concept of drawing a clear line and separating from falsehood has an aim. It's a core theological principle, and our source spends a lot of time on it. It's called bara'at. So what is bara'at? Think of it as the active side of belief. It's not passive. The idea is that it's not enough to just quietly believe in one God. True monotheism, according to this principle, demands that you also actively declare yourself free and clear from all forms of false worship. It's about drawing that line in the sand publicly and removing yourself from any association with it.
And our source is quick to point out, this isn't some new idea that popped up with this surah. Not at all. It traces this principle all the way back to the prophet Abraham himself. I mean, the Quran literally holds up Abraham's moment of saying to his people, we are disassociated from you and what you worship as the excellent pattern to follow. So this concept has deep, deep roots.
Okay, let's bring it all home. We'll wrap things up by looking at how our source text synthesizes all these details into a few key takeaways about the true significance of this surah. So when you boil it all down, the source highlights 4 massive principles coming out of this chapter. Number 1, absolute demarcation. There is a bright, clear line between pure monotheism, or tawhid, and its opposite, shirk, no gray areas. 2, rejection of syncretism. You cannot mix truth and falsehood. It's like oil and water. 3, the permanence of truth. This isn't up for debate or negotiation. Divine truth is fixed and eternal. And finally, number 4, prophetic infallibility. The surah is a testament to the fact that the prophet was divinely protected from ever compromising on this core message. You know, the source uses a really powerful metaphor for this surah. It calls it a sword against compromise. Think about that. It's sharp, it's decisive, and it makes a clean cut. It's there to sever any attempt to water down, negotiate, or blend the core message of Islam with anything else. It's like a guardian, standing watch to make sure the faith remains pure. And really, that brings us to the big, lingering question, doesn't it? The source makes it clear this chapter establishes a permanent line in the sand. So how does that principle, born in a very specific moment in history, apply today? How do you maintain that clear demarcation, that unwavering principle, in a world that's all about dialogue, engagement, and finding common ground? That's the essential tension this surah presents, a question that has echoed for centuries and continues to challenge believers today.